What happens when a multi-million-dollar military train faces off against a drone worth just a few $100s? In the dead of night, deep within occupied territory, the future of warfare was about to be written not by the roar of jets but by the silent hum of propellers. This wasn't just an attack. It was a masterclass in 21st century asymmetric warfare, where intelligence and audacity could overcome brute military might. At 2:43 a.m. on the 24th of May 2025, in a remote corner of occupied Zaporizhia, the air was deceptively still. This quiet was merely a cloak for a high-stakes military gamble, one whose outcome could reshape an entire front. This was not a thunderous frontline clash. It was a surgical strike planned with chilling, second-by-second precision. The target was not a person or a building, but something far more fundamental, the very lifeblood of a war machine. This mission demanded not just technological accuracy, but also the pinnacle of audacity and patience. It was proof that in modern conflict, a militarily weaker side can find the Achilles heel of its adversary and deliver a devastating blow. This silent night was about to end. It was about to witness a hellish inferno ignited not by a blockbuster bomb, but by intelligence and iron-willed determination. Part 2: The Lifeblood of the War. The target of that night's mission was no ordinary train. It was a vital aorta pumping fuel to the entire southern wing of the Russian military. This 8-car train wasn't just carrying steel. It was transporting nearly 1.2 million pounds of diesel fuel, the equivalent of about 168,000 gallons. What does this number truly mean? It's enough to power 2 full Russian mechanized battalions for an entire week of continuous operations. In a war of attrition, where every meter of ground is paid for in blood and resources, a week of operational capacity can decide the fate of a campaign. Imagine this without fuel. Modern T-90 tanks are nothing more than steel coffins. Self-propelled artillery, the backbone of Russian firepower, falls silent. Convoys carrying ammunition and food grind to a halt. The entire war machine on the southern front would be paralyzed. Therefore, destroying this train was more than just inflicting material damage. It was a strike against the enemy's central nervous system, a strategic act of choking their offensive capability. The Ukrainian side understood this better than anyone. They knew that to stop an army, you don't always have to confront its tanks head-on. You simply need to cut off its energy supply, and no matter how powerful the war machine will collapse on its own. This train moving along the Verkhny-Tokmak to Molochansk Railway was the perfect target to execute that very strategy. Part 3-7, 2 hours in the dark, the hunt begins. The 2:43 a.m. strike was no act of impulse. It was the culmination of 72 hours of relentless work by Ukraine's intelligence network. This wasn't just the work of satellites or reconnaissance aircraft. The most critical information came from ordinary civilians living under occupation. They were the silent eyes and ears risking their lives to document every small detail: the train's refueling times, its speed, its common routes, and the changing schedules of its guards. From these fragmented pieces of information, Ukrainian military analysts pieced together a complete picture. They discovered a golden detail, a deadly vulnerability in Russia's air defense grid. It was an 18-mile stretch of railway that lay outside the effective coverage of the nearest radar and anti-air missile systems. This was a fatal mistake by the Russian side, a complacency born from the belief that no one would dare strike so deep into their rear. For Ukraine, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They knew the window to act was incredibly narrow. Everything had to be perfectly coordinated. The drones had to launch at the right moment, fly to the precise coordinates, and strike the instant the train entered this kill zone. The hunt was planned, and the prey was unknowingly heading straight into the trap. Part 4: The Underdog's Weapon, the Swarm of Killer Drones. To execute such a surgical strike, Ukraine turned away from conventional weapons. Instead, they fully embraced the strengths of asymmetric warfare. The strike force consisted of a seamlessly coordinated team of drones. A high-tech swarm of killer bees. Serving as the reconnaissance asset was a DJI Mavic 3. However, this was not the commercial version you could buy in a store. It had been heavily modified by Ukrainian engineers, equipped with an advanced thermal imaging camera to see the target clearly in the dark, and most importantly, custom firmware that made it invisible to Russia's Aeroscope drone detection system. This Mavic 3 was the eyes of the operation, hovering at a safe distance of nearly 5 miles, transmitting real-time video and coordinates back to the command center. The main strike force consisted of 3 FPV first-person view kamikaze drones. These were made-in-Ukraine weapons, designed to be simple, low-cost, but brutally effective. Each drone was fitted with powerful motors, capable of reaching speeds over 87 miles per hour approx. 140 kilometers per hour, and carried a 2.6 kilograms shaped charge warhead. This type of warhead is designed to focus the entire explosive energy onto a single point, creating a jet of superheated plasma capable of piercing the thick steel of the fuel tankers. The combination of an intelligent scout drone and high-speed FPV suicide drones created the perfect strike formula: low cost, low risk to human operators, but devastatingly high destructive potential. Part 5. The Invisible Duel: AI versus Electronic Warfare. As the Ukrainian drones closed in on their target, another battle, invisible and silent, was waged across the electromagnetic spectrum. Recognizing the threat, Russian forces activated their Lear-3 electronic warfare EW system. This is a sophisticated system designed to create a wall of electronic jamming, disrupting drone control and GPS signals to make them lose their way and crash. In past conflicts, this had been a formidable weapon. However, Ukrainian engineers had anticipated this. Their drones were not reliant on a single navigation system. They were equipped with a multi-layered defense mechanism. Plan A was to use encrypted GPS. When the GPS signal was jammed, Plan B was immediately activated, the Inertial Measurement Unit (IMU). This system uses gyroscopes and accelerometers to track its own position and orientation without external signals, keeping the drone on course even in a heavily jammed environment. In the final 15 seconds of the attack run, Plan C was deployed an AI-powered optical target recognition system. The drone's camera automatically scanned the environment, comparing the live feed with preloaded data of the target, the specific shape and size of the fuel tankers. The AI then autonomously adjusted the flight path to ensure a precise hit on a designated weak point. This was a high-tech duel of wits where Ukraine's intelligent algorithms and automation outmaneuvered Russia's attempts at jamming. Part 6. Hell on Earth: 90 seconds to turn a lifeline to ash. At precisely 2:43 a.m., as the train entered the heart of the kill zone, the strike order was given. The first hit, FPV Drone 1, diving like a missile, slammed into the third car of the train. The shaped charge pierced the steel, and a massive fireball erupted, illuminating the night sky. The second hit, using the chaos and the light from the first explosion, Drone 2 easily identified its target and struck the sixth car. A second, even larger explosion set off a chain reaction. The final blow, Drone 3, completed the mission, diving into the eighth car at the rear of the train, sealing its fate and cutting off any hope of salvage. The ventilation system, designed to equalize pressure and ensure safety, had now become a fatal flaw. It acted as a superhighway for the flames, allowing the fire to spread with terrifying speed from one car to the next. In less than 90 seconds, a moving train was transformed into a rolling inferno several hundred meters long. The flames shot over 650 feet, nearly 200 meters into the air, creating a blaze visible from dozens of miles away. The intense heat warped the steel rails, burned the wooden ties to ash, and turned the entire railway line into a mangled wreck that would be unusable for a long time. This wasn't just an explosion. It was the total collapse of a logistical system, a hell on earth created in just 90 seconds. Part 7. Amperes. Message from the future. The fire in Zaporizhia didn't just burn fuel. It burned away the Russian military's sense of security and sent a resounding message to the world about the future of war. First, it confirmed the power of civilian-driven intelligence. This victory would have been impossible without the courage of ordinary people. They proved that in modern warfare, a smartphone in the hands of a patriot can be as dangerous as a rifle. Second, it was a lesson in asymmetric warfare. Ukraine showed that you don't need a massive defense budget to confront a military superpower. By focusing on innovation, agility, and the intelligent use of low-cost technology, they created a threat that Russia's expensive defense systems could not counter. Finally, this was a declaration of the rise of AI-driven drone warfare. This attack went far beyond simple kamikaze drones. These were autonomous precision weapons capable of thinking and adapting on the battlefield. This war is no longer being decided solely by the number of tanks or planes. It is being shaped by intelligent minds, lines of code, and the courage of those who dare to challenge a stronger foe. The fires in Zaporizhia will eventually die out, but the message they send will echo for years to come. The 21st century battlefield has changed, and those who fail to adapt will be left behind.